Assalamualaikum and good morning everyone. So it is good to be here today on this special day. So how is everyone doing? Actually, we are currently almost finished our week 10 and we have another 4 weeks to go. So I hope that all of us will not give up at this stage and will be doing fine. Today, me DJ Aiyn and my partner DJ Afiqah will cover onslaught regarding the empathy is key. So, our chosen topic is about autism. Despite wanting to complete the assignment, we choose this topic because nowadays we can see that children with autism is no more a rare case, but still people have lack of knowledge about it. So, in order to educate ourselves and you guys out there, we bring our special guest today, Associate Professor Dr.Hasnah Toran. She is the director of Genius Kurnia Center. So, how are you, Doctor?
Alhamdulillah. Thank you for inviting me here.
Okay, welcome to IUM FM and thank you also for being our guest for today.
My pleasure to be here.
So, before we proceed with our interview, me, DJ Afiqah, will give a brief view about Genius Kurnia Center and some background information about our guest. Genius Kurnia Center provides early intervention and early childhood special education to children with autism along with support for their parents. Dr. holds a PhD in early intervention from the University of Oregon, USA. Previously, she was the head researcher of the Autism Lab at the National University of New Hampshire, where she carried out research on autism educational best practices. Dr. Hasnah also published books on autism and a number of research articles. The learning modules being used in Genius Kurnia are the products of her team's research. Doctor was from Bukit Mertajam, Pulau Pinang. She has 3 children and 2 of them have autism.
Wow, that's such a good brief of information. Thank you, Afiqah. So, without further ado, let's proceed with the interview question.
Yeah.
So, the first question that we would like to ask Dr. Hasnah today is, can you tell us in detail what is autism mean actually?
Okay. Autism is a neurological disorder. It's not a disease. It's not an illness. It's if you want to understand it in a simpler term, it's like the brain is wired differently from other people. So when the brain is wired differently, so individuals with autism perceive information that they get from the environment, the social environment, and environment around them differently than others. And that's why they behave in a different manner, and that's why sometimes they have problems connecting with people around them. So a neurological disorder where the brain is wired differently.
Okay, I see. So the key point here that autism is not a disease and is actually a neurological disorder problem. Okay. So thank you, doctor, for sharing the meaning. So all of us already know what is the meaning of the autism is. So the next question is, what are the early signs or symptoms of autism that parents should be aware of in their children?
Okay, right. The main impairment of autism is social communication and social interaction. And the early red flags among young children, they are mainly the children's inability to connect to people around them. Perhaps lack of eye contact, lack of interest to be with others, to play with others, and a majority of young children with autism, they have delays in communication. So if your child is not developing like other children, it's easy to compare. For example, if your child has no speech at all at the age of 2, then the parent needs to take this child to see a doctor to have the child checked. And quite a number of parents are in denial, but I would like to advise them that if a child has autism, the earlier a child is identified, then the earlier we can provide intervention. And children who gets intervention earlier will show a better prognosis.
I see. So there are many symptoms that
Symptoms. Yeah.
actually parents should aware and they can actually notice.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Mhm.
So the next question is, I would like to ask, how are the children diagnosed with autism?
Okay, that's a big issue because not everybody can diagnose autism. Autism can only be diagnosed by specialists, and not all specialists, but by specialists who have been trained in how to diagnose children with autism, specialists who have been trained to use certain diagnostic instruments. And sadly, in Malaysia, we don't have enough. So among the specialists who can diagnose children with autism are pediatrician, developmental pediatrician, clinical psychologist, child psychiatrist, and of course in Malaysia we don't have enough. But if we have problem, if parents want to get their kids diagnosed with autism and they find problems, perhaps to get an appointment to see the specialist, sometimes might take more than a year. My advice to them is not to wait to get a formal diagnosis before you give them intervention. For example, if you have a child who is 2 years old and doesn't seem to be interested to play with other children, not interested to be with others, joining in activities, and you are worried that your child might have autism, and you have seen a doctor, and the doctor say that, oh, your child need to get a formal diagnosis from a specialist, and you have gone to a hospital to get the diagnosis, and the waiting list is too long, a year and a half, and if you're lucky, maybe just 6 months. My advice is that don't wait for formal diagnosis. If your child is 2 and your child is still not speaking, then what you can do is find ways on how to stimulate your child's communication skills, and that is best done by playing with them. By playing with them, parents can get a lot of information from Genius Kurnia's website, and the URL is www.iautism.my, IAUTISM.my. We have videos there, we have parents sharing, and there's even more information on our YouTube. Just go to YouTube, go for Genius Kurnia channel, and we have lots of videos of our recording of our workshops. We have experts, we have speech therapists who share ideas on how parents can stimulate their child. So don't wait for a formal diagnosis before you start early intervention.
I see. So with the current advancement of technology nowadays, I think that there is no reason if the parent cannot train their child as the
Yeah,
other
yeah.
children
We
also.
know that it will take a lot of time before our government could provide enough early interventionists, enough specialists, enough applied health professionals in order to help our children with autism. So therefore, with Genius Kurnia, um, we really try our best to use social media, to use IT, so that we can still share information with parents, and that is something that we would like parents to know. And I thank IIUM FM for this opportunity to share the information. Another good source of information that Genius Kurnia has is our online courses. We have 2 online courses which parents can access through either the Open Learning platform or Udemy platform. The name of the online courses are I Kurnia Asas Intervensi and I Kurnia Asas Autism. And these 2 courses are the first courses on autism in Malay in the world. We know that most parents are more comfortable with Malay rather than in English. So we try to make sure that there will be a wealth of information for parents in Malay. So parents can access our online courses, our website, and our YouTube channel.
I see. So everything information is just in our fingertip lah.
Yes,
It's
at the
just
end of
a
our
whether
fingertips, yes.
the parent want to
Mhm.
search for it or not, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
That is very great information from you, doctor. So if you guys want to know more about autism, stay tuned, okay? We will be right back after this. Question, are there any medications to cure autism?
This is a really highly debated question. At the moment, the answer is no. To cure, no. But what we do is we advise that parents start therapy, start intervention with their children, so that what we do is through therapy and intervention, we try to minimize the negative behaviors, minimize the problems, and we try to maximize the child's potential to learn and to connect with people around them. And yes, in Malay we say ubat. We have ubat, but these ubat they're not medicines. They're drugs in order to control certain symptoms of autism. For example, if the child is too hyperactive, then there's certain medication to lower down the child's hyperactivity, and there's some medication to heightens the child's focus so that the child can learn in the classroom. But as a teacher, my advice is leave the medication as the last resort. You can try to do therapy, behavior modification, intervention, and with my experience, decades in this field, I have seen lots of children improve. And if you ask me what is the best cure for autism, the best cure of autism is actually parents who understand the issue, parents who is passionate about helping their children, and parents who are willing to go a very long way in order to help their children. We interventionists find when the parent is committed, the child can really develop well.
See. So, is it better for children with autism to go to mainstream schools or special schools?
Now, to answer that question, it has to be on an individual basis. Children with autism, they are on a spectrum. You have those who can learn well, who can communicate well, and you also have those who not only have autism but they also have learning disability. And this condition where a child might have more than one disorder, we call this comorbidity. So a child might have autism, and a child might also have dyslexia and might also have low IQ. So for these children, being in a mainstream classroom might not be suitable for them. But if a child has autism and can communicate well and cognitive level is very good, then we advise for this child to be in a mainstream classroom. So what we do with our children in Genius Kurnia is that we constantly monitor their progress, and we would advise their parents which choice of education is best for their child, whether to go for mainstream education or whether to go for special education.
Okay, next question is, what are some common autism screening tools that are used today, and how could parents get their children diagnosed with autism?
There are several screening instruments, and first of all, I would like to inform everybody that a screening instrument is different from a diagnostic instrument. A diagnostic instrument is to confirm the diagnosis, whether the child has autism or whether it could be ADHD or something else. But a screening instrument is not to diagnosis. A screening instrument just inform us whether the child needs further assessment so that a diagnosis could be made. Okay, so we advise parents to screen their children, because by screening their child, parents will get information whether they need to take the child to see a doctor or not. There are several screening tools, but the one that is the easiest for parents to use and also easiest for parents to get hold of is actually the MCHAT. It's MCHAT, and it is short for Modified Checklist for Autism in Toddlers. And for parents who have young children, when mothers deliver in the hospital, especially the government hospital, mother will get a baby record book. For baby girls, it will be pink in color. For baby boys, it will be blue in color. And inside that rather thick book, there is that instrument MCHAT. So parents can can try out the questions in the MChat there. If parents do not have that baby record book, perhaps the child is already 4 years old and parents don't know where they have put that book, if they've lost the book, then what they can do is they can Google, type MChat Autism Speaks, because on the website of Autism Speaks is an NGO, is a global NGO that provide information, especially for the autism community. And on the Autism Speaks website, you can access the MChat. And parents can click the radio buttons on the website, and immediately after you submit it, there will be a result, whether your child needs to have further assessment by doctors or not.
Mm-hmm. I see. So, whatever it is, I think that parents are the one who
Yes.
are responsible
Yes.
to know more about their
Mm.
children.
That's why we're trying to work hard so that awareness about autism among society, especially among parents, would be better in Malaysia.
Okay. So there is so much information that we could get. Am I right? But I am sure we will get to know more about it after this. So I hope that you guys can wait till the end and enjoy the songs. So we are back. Um, let's move on to our next question, which is: are there any therapies for people with autism, and what are they?
Oh, of course, there's a lot. I mean, it depends because, as I said, individuals with autism, they are on a spectrum, each with different issues and challenges. If a child with autism has behavior issues, then of course we need to do behavior modification, or now is better known as positive behavior support. And if a child with autism is having problem with communication and not being verbal, then there are a few choices. One is speech therapy, and the other one is to use PACS, which is a form of augmentative communication, where the child will use picture cards to communicate their needs. And if a child has difficulty focusing in the classroom, then we need to do some exercises so that they can focus better. So the therapies is based on the child's need. So usually what we do is, before we provide intervention, we will have a programmatic assessment looking at the child's current performance and identifying what are the child's strengths and needs, and then from there we will create an individual education plan.
I see. So I believe that there is no excuse for parents or even the teachers to not know about how to train the children with the autism, right, doctor?
Well, if you talk about excuse, I think that our efforts to help children with autism and people who support them, namely parents and teachers, is quite new. And Genius Kurnia has been around for 4 years, and Alhamdulillah, we have managed to produce quite a number of products in terms of websites, our recordings on our YouTube, our online courses. So right now, what we need to do is we need to ensure that what we have produced is known to the society, and if they do have a child with autism, then they know where to get the information. And at the moment, we are only able to provide direct services to 420 children who come to our center. And we have a very long waiting list. And for those parents who are not able to send their kids to our center, that's why we try and help them through our websites and our online courses and stuff. Um, but we need to remember that parents who have children with autism, I know because I also have two children with autism. It's very tough. It's very tough, and parents sometimes experience burnout. They feel that they couldn't go anymore, and therefore, when we talk about therapies for children with autism, we also need to look at how best to provide support for their parents, because if we are not able to support parents, then these children will not get help. So I would prefer then, rather than pointing fingers to parents for not getting services or for not accepting the fact that their children have autism, for me it's much better for us to focus on how best to help them. Mhm.
So that's why I really respect that parents who can handle the children with
Yes,
autism.
it's really tough, yeah.
Okay. So the next question is, I understand that you are the director of Genius Kurnia Center,
Mm-hmm.
which before this only focuses on providing services to children with autism.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it also accepts children with other forms of disability. Could you please explain why your institution has changed its policies?
Okay, so if we look at children with disabilities globally, among the higher incidences disabilities are autism, ADHD, dyslexia. Those are the top three. And we have low incidence disabilities like blind, vision impairments. But we believe that all children with disabilities need help, and we are glad that we started with autism. We got the team together. We polish our team, and our team now, they are very young people. Majority of them are still in their 20s, but I feel that they are ready to took on new challenges. And I've always believed that whatever services that we have for children with disabilities shouldn't be exclusively for children with autism. But in the beginning, it was a good idea for us to just focus on autism, because we have a young team, and it's a first initiative. So we have always, even when we started with kids with autism, back of our mind, we have already started thinking about children with other disabilities. And after 2.5 years, 3 years of being in operation, we believe that we are ready to spread our wing. And in April of this year, 2019, we had the opportunity to have our first meeting with our Minister of Education, Dr. Mazli, and we bring forward the idea of looking at other disabilities, and he totally agreed, and he encouraged us to spread our wings and try to provide services for other children. But having said that, autism is among the disabilities that has the highest, among the highest incidence. We believe that our core focus will be on autism, but we will create subunits to look at other disabilities. And we started first with children with cerebral palsy. We started as early as 2019, and now we have one class for children with cerebral palsy. And I don't think we will have a lot of classes for children with cerebral palsy. Our idea is to produce modules on early intervention for these children, how to support interventionists who work with these children, how to support parents, how to teach them. And we hope that this module will disseminate to the society, rather than providing direct services to 100 children with cerebral palsy. And now our next step, we are by January 2020, we are going to start another class for children with vision impairment. They are already in Genius Kurnia at the moment, but we are planning to increase the number, and by January we will have a specific classroom. And again, our team is going to start producing modules and information packages and kits for parents and teachers. And we have to move on slowly with other disabilities, say Down syndrome. Perhaps we won't have children with Down syndrome on our campus, in our center in Sentul, but what we'll do, perhaps we will start collaborating with Persatuan Syndrome Down, and this is something that we have yet to discuss with that NGO.
Okay. So I believe that what Genius Kurnia Center do is to make the children with disability feel inclusive because we cannot exclude them from the society. They also have the rights as other have, right? So the last question from me is, I would like to know what are some tips for parents who have children with autism?
Right. First of all, parents with autism, number one, they need to accept the fact. I have met quite a number of parents who are in denial and they don't believe that their children have autism. They say that, oh, the specialist might be wrong, delay in speech is runs in the family. They come up with excuses. So the earlier you can accept the fact that your child has autism, the earlier you can get an intervention for your child. So number one is not to be in denial. Number two is to believe that Allah has awarded you with this child, and although we cannot understand why, Allah has given you this special child, never have bad thoughts about Allah's intention. Always believe that there is something good that is going to come. Really, you have to be rebel with the creed of Allah, and once you at the stage where you are at peace with your creator, I think that's when you can really go into turbo power in helping your child. And as you go along the journey, you will find that there are some good days, there are some bad days, but life can be very rewarding when you have a child with autism. I have two myself, and yes, financially is bad for me, but I believe that there's always a risk from Allah, and having a good job is also a risk. Having good friends, having people who support you, it's not just the monetary risk. So always be positive and always try your best in taking care of your child, trying to polish them to their best potential. And my last advice is for parents to take care of themselves, because if parents burn out, if parents fall into depression, then the child with autism will be left without any support. So you want to do your best for your child, but you also need to take good care of yourself. You need to take good care of your partner, because it's tough for one parent to do it alone. It's much better if you have a life partner to together bring up your child with autism. So that's my
So,
three advice.
okay. Actually, I believe that as a Muslim, we need to believe in Allah. Whatever faith we have, there is something special in the end, right?
Yes, yes.
So thank you, doctor, for the beneficial tips. After this, we will have one more last question before we end this slot.
Okay.
So you guys out there, just wait a bit, okay?
Okay, there's one more.
Yeah.
Hi, we are back. Actually, both of us are really proud to be here today since we could interview Dr. Hasnah and share more information about children with autism so that all of us can be aware and be more sensitive about this after this. So the last question would be, what are your last words to people with autism?
Young people with autism. Um, well, life is unfair. You know, for young people with disabilities, they don't have equal opportunities as others, and I just hope that they'll stay strong, and we, the so-called people without autism, will try our best to support them. And I'm really grateful that IUMFM um, invites me today to share some information about autism, because I believe that the young people in Malaysia have a lot of power to change the situation for people with disabilities. I hope that the young generation will be able to do things differently, so life will be better for people with disabilities. I'm counting on all of you.
Thank you, doctor.
insyaAllah.
Actually, we also are very proud for having you today with us and sharing your information, so that all of us here and out there, people out there, will be educated about autism.
Inshallah.
Before we end this slot, both of us would like to thank you to our special guest for today, Dr. Hasnah, for willing to be here with us, and thank you for accepting our invitation to be the guest on this slot, even though you have a very busy schedule. We really appreciate it a lot. It was a nice meeting you for the first time today, and we are glad to have you with us.
Do you know that I graduated from the IIUM with a master's degree?
Oh, I see.
Ah.
We didn't know that.
Yeah. I was here, I can't remember what year, but it was, I think, the first year that the Gombak campus was open, long time ago.
So what
I see.
course?
Management, Masters of Management, from the
Oh.
Center of Management. Yes.
And your degree from?
My degree is in English from the University of Essex. So my field has shifted a couple of times. A first degree in English from the University of Essex, Masters of Management from IIUM, and a PhD in Early Intervention from the University of Oregon.
Wow.
But I know that you have children here, right? No, sister. Your sister being a lecturer here.
My cousin.
Oh,
I
your
have two cousins.
I thought your
I have two cousins who are lecturers here, Dr. Intan Surani and Dr. Ainul Azmin. And my daughter is also a student at IIUM Gambang. So and a lot of nephew and nieces who graduated from IIM. So I feel very honored to be able to contribute today.
Okay, so we hope that what Dr. Hasnah have said previously have given our listener more exposure to the topic that we are discussing today, which is autism. We would like to apologize for any mistake we have made as we interviewed you today,
No problem.
and we hope that you enjoy our interview session, and we can meet again someday in
Inshallah.
the future with more
Inshallah.
interesting topics to be shared in the future, inshallah.
Inshallah.
So thank you so much,
Thank you,
Doctor. Thank you so
Doctor.
much, my partner for
Welcome.
today.
Welcome. Bye bye everybody.
Bye.
Okay, bye bye. Goodbye. Assalamualaikum, everyone.
Assalamualaikum.